Square foot gardening has been a buzzword in gardening since about 1981, when the idea was realized and put into practice by a civil engineer. It incorporates ideas of compact gardening, companion planting, and organic homegrown growing. Now, building a square foot garden is really simple, and it gives you the freedom to change it up, especially if you have a small area like a veranda or a flat rooftop that has a bit of shade. Today I'm going to show you how to build this simple design that I've made. Now, I've had the timber cut at my local builders. I've just given it a quick sanding, and for this project you will need 4 lengths of ply, 2 of which are 1200 by 150 millimeters, and the other 2 1165 by 142 millimeters. 3 3-meter lengths of 8 by 32 millimeter planed all-round timber, a drill driver with the appropriate drill bits, some 40 millimeter screws, as well as some shorter 25 and 16 millimeter screws, a hacksaw, a ruler or tape measure, as well as a pencil, and some weed guard together with a pair of scissors and a staple gun. Then, to seal and help protect the timber, some Waxol, a brush and tray, and possibly a drop sheet. Then optional would be 1 expandable length of trellis. This one's 900 millimeters wide. Now first we need to screw these ply pieces together to form a box. So by placing the shorter length on the inside of the longer length, I'm going to attach it with 2 40 millimeter screws, working my way around until we have a completed box. So the outer frame is done, and you'll notice that 2 of these are lower than the sides, and you'll see why a bit later. These dividers are what is going to give us the square feet compartments. There's 16 blocks in total. But before we measure and cut the 8x32s, I must just say that ply often has a slight bow to it, so we don't want to cut these to the exact dimensions. I'd rather add a few centimeters. We can always shorten it later. So I'll measure and mark 1220 millimeters and cut 6 lengths using a hacksaw before laying them next to each other on the bench with the ends lined up to each other. So those are all cut to length. Now I've done the maths for you. Watch carefully. From the outer edge, we're going to measure 280 millimeters, place an offcut and mark it on both sides before measuring another 280 and another 280. Now, by taking 3 of these and turning them upside down, we want to match the squares together before fastening each joint with the short 16 millimeter screws. Now, you may remember earlier we cut these strips 2 centimeters longer than the dimensions of our box. This ply does have a slight bow to it, which might be a bit difficult to see on the camera. We've hardly got an overhang here. If you had quite a substantial overhang, just take a pencil, mark it from underneath, and cut that off. Your box may not be perfectly square, and the last thing we want is for these dividers to just not reach. We can also see here why these 2 sides are slightly lower, and that is to accommodate for the thickness of the timber on the dividers. So our grid is complete. Let's paint it with 2 coats of Waxol. Now, Waxol is a waxed-based wood sealant that is ideal for timber that is stored outdoors. I'm talking Wendy houses, jungle gyms, planter boxes, and so forth. Ideally, you want to paint 2 coats. It does take 6 to 8 hours to dry on a hot sunny day. I don't have 6 hours to wait, but I do have another one of these pre-built and painted with 2 coats. Let me go and grab it quickly. So here's the square foot garden I prepped a few days ago. It's dried properly with 2 coats of Waxol. All that's left now is to attach the weed guard. Just flip the frame over, roll out the weed guard and attach it using a staple gun, and you're going to need to overlap 2 lengths of weed guard. The weed guard will help contain the potting soil and prevent weeds growing up if you're placing this on a soil surface. Now, you may want to attach a trellis, and I'm simply going to attach it onto one of the sides with the 25 millimeter screws through the trellis and into the ply. Just ensure that you've opened it up to the correct size before attaching the first screw. There we go, and all that's left now is to go and plant this up. Now, these dividers is what's going to give us our almost square foot block, 16 blocks in total that we can mix and match what we decide to grow in here. There we go, so our square foot garden is all planted up, and I've given it a light watering. As soon as these tomatoes and beans get a bit of height to them, we can weave them onto the trellis, and if we position it carefully, that'll give a bit of shade over the rest of the garden. Now remember, everything we've used today, including the seedlings, is available at Builders, either in-store or online at builders.co.za. For more videos like this, check out the blog on the website. Get to Builders, get it done.